welcome back. You are still tuned in to
Funtastic Fridays.
And from you hear that song, you know what time it is.
Yep.
It's time for Talk the Ting with Kim. And this is our discussion segment. This is where we talk about hot topics, basically things that we experience within relationships or out in society, or financial concerns, marriage, all them something there. You know, we try to cover a bit of everything. And then for last week, because it was International Women's Day, we had a topic that turned out to be a hotter topic than I thought. You know, in here was heated and the AC was on. Can you believe? Right? So the topic is the rise of women the fall of men? So yes, while we are celebrating the progress, the growth of women over the years, so we know about women not being allowed to gain further education and not being allowed to work and not being allowed to even drive and all those things. I know we have a society that can be argued that might actually be a bit dominated by women to an extent, you know. So it's a whole discussion that I love the feedback last week. Ironically, I thought we had 2 male, 2 females, which was the Funtastic Team.
Yeah.
And the females thought that no, women weren't the fall of men. And the men thought that, yeah, they're going to contribute to it somewhat. Not really, no, but they're not directly the cause, no, but they're not part of the reason, you know? So I wanted external advice. Because maybe we're around each other too long, so we start think, you know, I wanted away. So we wanted other perspectives. And for that purpose, we have some special guests in studio. But like, you know, him coming in dark because you know send up on camera today. I'm ready, Mr. Vaughn. And then we also have this lovely lady. So the light we see in the studio is not from the roof, but she's walking with it, yeah?
Okay, all right.
So she carries it herself. So you know, just send the bill because we need to pay for your services. So I'm gonna let her introduce herself. Just say your name and good evening.
Alright, hi, good evening everybody, good evening to live, good evening listeners. My name is Anni and I'm so excited for this conversation.
Yeah, man.
So like she said, listen to me, if you're not me, I'll be a cause. Like,
no, I have to say, I put it out there, right? I gave to a team, was like, hey, just ask some students if they'd like to be a part of this discussion. Somebody messaged me, one of the first person messaged me and said, yeah, there's somebody over. No, she won upon it, and that was Anni.
Specify that it's a discussion and not the actual activity. I just said, listen to me, woman needs to rise for the man to fight.
She's using her opportunity wherever she can, okay?
Yeah, I like
and then we have Mr. Debonair. Hold on, we can't say your name too harsh, you know, because the look of a match looking. So, Mr. Debonair,
yes,
in studio with us. And like you said, good evening and introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. I am Audley Williams, aka Mr. Von I Williams.
All right. Will in the building.
So, if you don't want, you will.
Yeah.
All right. So, as I said, the discussion is the rise of women, the fall of men. Before we even go into the nitty gritty and into the depth of it, and guys, if you are on the live, I see quite a few of you on the live, and we love it and we appreciate it. Ensure that you're following the page. If you're not following, your comments won't come through.
Yeah.
But also share your feedback, because last week everybody on the live was, trust me, they were sending their messages.
So
people were debating on air, you know, on the live in the chat section. So just ensure that you share your feedback, and if there's questions that you want the guests to answer, as well as us, feel free to drop them as well.
All right.
So I want to know.
And also, I want to, before as well, let me just drop this one in. Link up to Cardi Shakespeare.
Yeah.
We saw your answers on the WhatsApp line, so don't worry yourself.
Cardi, if you miss it, a ladder.
Yeah, Cardi Chat. Everybody Cardi a car watch. Jordan Williams, Miss Bennett, Romeo Virgo, social worker team. Like, she just showed everybody. So big up to you. And she said Reggie Bennett as well. She showed everybody. So big up to Cardi Shakespeare.
Nice. And I want to do a special shout out to the persons on the live right now. So we have Tenny Six, we have Charisma, we have King Remy, we have Khalifa Facey, we have Drew Dunn, we have Jenny Drew, we have Lynch JM, we have Danzy Dans, we have King Levy, King Jeffy. Listen, you have a whole events too. You know, so that people come with them fun, you know? You know, so that people come with them fun, right?
Yeah. That's why you have to
invite you. We need to run for Prime Minister and Prime Mistress because I have it locked.
I want to hear the view stuff.
Yeah, I want to know your feedback now, right? What Anni V, since you're so passionate, off the top of your head, do you think the rise of women is the fall of men?
No, that's a simple answer.
Simple
No.
answer.
Simple answer.
Not even think about it.
No, I'm not going to think about
And why do you say this?
it. Listen, you see where if women rise, it's not going to cause men to fall. I'm going to say if men realize that women are rising to a place where it causes a question for them, then rise too.
Yeah.
Like continue to rise. You know what I'm saying? Like not because men feel like, oh, the women are doing too much, means that they're supposed to stop and kind of easy back.
Yeah,
and
take the back seat.
Right. You get what I'm saying? Because women are coming from a far place. Decades back, there's so many things that women could not do, right? And to be at the place that women are at now, I mean, we have all rights to continue rising and do what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? So it's something to be proud of. And if men, I don't think men should be offended by that. They should be proud of us, support us, and continue rising as well, because there's things that they can improve on it.
Okay.
I like that. So far, another female that supports that women are not. The rise of women does not cause the fall of men.
Right.
So I want to see Mr. Von Will himself let us know what his feedback is. What do you think, Von?
Straight up,
Yeah.
the rise of women is definitely not the fall of men.
And okay.
We'll take that stance. Man, I'll take that stance.
Yeah.
My view comes based off the fact that you have to look at the family, right? And where the absence of men within the family these days, that can cause a lot of issues, especially for little boys growing up without fathers and without role models, without certain figures to show them and teach them, hey, this is what it means to be a man, this is what you're supposed to do as a man, and this is how you're supposed to rise as a man. But you can't hate a woman for being up there, advancing herself in society, especially in the corporate world, right? The opportunities are there, and I myself, I had the opportunities. I am glad that I had my father, my uncles, certain role models, and it's because of those men being there in my life I managed to get to where I'm at this day, right? But I mean, come on, can't hate the women for it. So the rise of women, it is not the fall of men.
Alright.
They just need to be men and rise.
Well, you know, that leads to my next question. Do we think there is a fall of men in today's society?
Based on what you see
based on what surrounds us and on the live
still the men of, let's say, 1920
or whichever decade.
Because they said that women started to, this
In
so-called
1960.
rising up from about, they say from after the World War, that, ladies had to, go out there now, but the men didn't declare a war, so the women have to look them own bread. So from that time in the 1920s, would we say the men of 2024 are the same as the men of 1920, I should say, or have they lowered, or have they achieved more?
But before we get to that, Najara said we compliment them, so she don't think that the rise of women caused the fall of men. She think actually it helps us to compliment the men. And NTL Phillips said, "Hi Annie." Right? But I want to know, and this question goes out to the live as well. In today's society, do we think there's a fall of men?
I think it depends on the perspective that you're looking at it.
Right? Perspective. Yeah, go ahead.
Because it's in the 21st century, especially in this 2020 and up period, I think there's so many different views on how men should be, because you realize that some persons are saying, oh, there's nothing wrong with a man being in the home, a man taking care of the children, staying home while his wife works, or while his young lady works. So for some people, that there's nothing wrong with it. That's actually men elevating. For some person from an older generation, they would say, oh, that's the fall of men, because men don't fit in a home.
If out of work.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and as I said, it depends on the perspective that you're looking at it from.
Okay.
But for me personally, I think that men they're rising and they're falling. So it's kind of like a two-step
Some are rise, some are
one
fall.
step forward, two-step back.
Okay.
Right. So they're rising in some areas, but then they still kind of regress.
Like what areas?
Yeah,
you
give
say?
me an idea.
Yeah, give an example.
Where is the regression?
All right. So you have certain men nowadays who, as I said, they're taking on more responsibilities as they should, right?
Okay.
Because everybody equal.
Yeah.
But to share
The roles
Right.
are now can be divided.
Right. So you see where men stepping up and they're doing these things in the home and they're being more attentive to women and just
And possibly it's probably still working and as well.
exactly and still
Okay,
doing those
yeah.
and still doing the manly
The providing and all.
So they're stepping up, right? They're
Yeah.
rising as well. But then you still have those men who, as I said, well, not even the older generation, but just young
Probably
men
most of
still,
the younger. It
right?
probably happen most of the younger.
Right? Who they see their fellow counterparts, their friends doing those things, and they're like, oh, we do that. Let's stay home with no woman, with no baby, and
They say a soft.
Soft.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like, it's like some of them trying to progress, and then some just holding them back. So
Oh.
I think there's a rise, but I think the society that we live in, especially Jamaican society, still causing the men to kind of just
Hold
not rise the way they're supposed to.
Alright, I like that. On the live, Dre said, I agree with the gentleman. When the household is missing the father or a positive male role model, it could be disaster. Right? So, Vaughn, what's your take? Do you think that in today's society there is a fall of men?
Honestly, yes, there is. There is. And again, it does lead back to the family, right? But there is so much information or so much media fed out there to the people, and there's this perception that is also fed to men as to how a man is supposed to be, how I'm supposed to flex. I mean, look at hip hop videos, dancehall videos, and these youths, they are emulating that, right? And when they do that, they are losing focus on the main thing that makes a man feel as if, boy, from your pocket full of cash, and you can floss like that, and have all these women around them.
That makes you a man. Yeah.
No, Bridget.
So you say they have warped the whole image of
The thought
man.
process.
Image, the perception, everything. It's like, imagine, you know, like when you watch Roots and you see them whip Funtastic Team and tell him, say, Toby.
Okay.
It's like that.
Like that. A whole kind of brainwashing
These
thing.
days, of course.
Okay.
Right? So,
You know you got deep a while ago, right?
Yeah.
You know that did deep a while ago, right?
The man literally said roots.
Literally.
Roots.
Yeah.
so it's like we have been so brainwashed to think that a man is supposed to be like this and not like that. And I mean, there's also certain areas I would like to touch, but I will not. I will not. Right? I get cancelled.
Yeah.
So it's those factors as well. Also brainwash the youths and them start to live a different type of lifestyle that's not what a man is supposed to be like. Right? And you find where they don't want to take up certain jobs,
Right.
because they find them to be below them.
Yeah.
They don't want to do certain things. They find where men who used to be the voice of the people speaking out there. Look how many female leaders are popping up all over the place.
Man, I'm not leaving that much again.
It was just last night that I found out that Trinidad and Tobago had a female.
Yeah.
What about Matleland? Well,
No,
Trinidad.
Motley or Barbados.
No, obviously,
But
what
that's
about
another one
Matleland?
too. That's
What about Matleland time? But Trinidad is what the other day, yeah.
Right? And Trinidad and Tobago had some flare-ups the other day. They changed the leader.
Yeah.
To a female. Right? I mean, come on. The men need to step up their game. They need to get back to know what they are supposed to be in society, and then act their role accordingly.
Well, I love that feedback, and Tishandi said, well said. Well said, right? But one of the things that I asked last week, and I want to get you guys' perspective on it, is do we think the fact that women were sort of held back from all these things? You know, when you are trapped and then you get freedom, so it's like you run out. You know, you had all that time prepping, waiting, and you're like, all right, but get my boss, and you step out and then you just start excel, right? And do we think that's actually what happened? That's why we're seeing women, as I said, leaders all over the place. Women are, listen, most of the businesses I'm seeing now, women are get up and start business from scratch. Business are not nothing to do, nothing feminine. I've seen construction business start by women. You know, it's showing that women have been stepping out to like some major extent. So do we think because women were so marginalized against our will, so we probably had all these ideas brewing how long? So the minute the gate open, we just dash out. Do we think that's what actually happened, or we think is another perspective?
I think it is a gradual thing, you know, because I don't think we just run out time, because it's been a long time coming. Where we are now, it's been a long time coming. So I think it was a step-by-step process. So we got so we get the chance to vote, we use that. We get the chance to start businesses, we use. So, you know,
Don't take any use of each advantage as they come around.
Right.
Okay.
And then it kind of probably creep upon the men, like they never realized that
They
never realized it was coming. So it reached a point now where I feel like the men are kind of offended by what the women are doing. So you have women who are leaders in the businesses, prime ministers, all of those things.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the men are like, what is going on?
So what we are going to do?
When did this happen?
Right. I feel like it's more like a gradual thing, and then men are like, it reached a point where they realize what's going on.
It's obvious.
Right. I think that's one of the things to know that women are almost where they should have been from the beginning, or almost where men were from the beginning. They realize what's going on, and it's like they don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to handle it. So that's why I think a lot of these men can come up with these notions that the rise of feminism fall on men, because they didn't expect all of this to be happening. I know that it's happening. They feel offended or maybe feel threatened. Do you know if a woman come take over the business, all of a sudden it's like, we don't want to leave.
Yes, they do have men that will leave.
Right. You have big example. For example, the church. Some men don't want no female pastor. If it's a female pastor, they will go, or something like that. Because I'm saying, so some of these men are so offended and intimidated by these women in leadership positions. It's like, why we can't work together?
Exactly.
Sometimes you lead, sometimes I lead. Right? It's not.
And I have strengths what you can benefit from, and you have strengths that I can benefit from.
It's not a competition or who's trying to take over. It's just everybody working together.
But I like that. And Dre on the live said the moment when women got independent from men, that caused the problem. And I asked Dre to say, I said, Dre, explain the problem, please. Tisha, hold on.
Dre,
you want to know the problem to Dre, right?
Let's look into
We're not trying to attack it, but I just want to know where you're coming from. Because we want to get the perspective. But before we go to your comment, we want to hear Van feedback.
Yeah.
Right? We think women were just ready, pent up waiting, or we thought that, or it couldn't even be that basically finally we get to use our strengths, and that is what's helping us to progress. What do you think? What's the rise of? What causing the rise of?
I do not believe that since it's a case where women have been awarded the opportunities that the men had, that's the reason why they were able to catapult further than most men. I believe that is the case. Women have always been there, toe to toe with men. It's just that there were certain laws, certain privileges that were awarded to them for them to actually step into those roles publicly. Remember, let's look at this. They play a game of chess. Right? If the king is taken, the game is over.
Right.
But what's the most powerful piece of it? It's a queen. Right. And in every kingdom, every empire, that ruler who is a man, he always has his queen right there who sits on his left. So they have always been there.
Yeah.
Women have always been there. Right there in the midst of power, right there in the midst of influence.
So we weren't hearing their
But
voices.
you were not hearing their
We
voices.
hear it through the man. I get what
Exactly.
you're saying.
That's why they say, you know, for every great man, someone right there.
But I mean, there's also
Well,
a say,
can we stop for that moment? that was poetic. Can we stop for that? Thank you.
Alright, but as you mentioned that one though, there's also a saying that a woman can make or break a man.
Exactly.
So now we're in a situation where we're looking at the rise of women, and I do believe that the rise can also make or break man. So it's all about where it goes. And I think that's where the dilemma comes right now, because where are we heading now as a society? The women are rising now. Good, you know. We're not saying nothing bad, but we're saying what are some of these side effects that have been taking place, or what are we seeing happening in our society while the women are busy doing their rising? What are the men doing? What we are doing?
But you see now, one of the things that we discussed, and this was off here after the show ended, and it was a question that only came to my mind after. Because I feel like even this quote-unquote rise of women and fall of men is partially on us, and it's both genders, right? Because one of the things I know for a fact, predominantly in a lot of homes, is, you know, like when you have kids, you have a son and a daughter.
Right.
If the daughter is not doing well in school, you pull out every stop, because you know the daughter have either she gonna use her body or she gonna use her brain. And you don't want her to fail, use her body. So when education is not her thing, you get the extra lessons, you get the extra classes, you are gonna learn.
Right.
You have no choice, and you're going to university. When a boy is failing in school, also parents get like,
Yeah,
can't find a skill.
You can do a skill
Right?
job.
You know, if you check
Carpenter.
moves, exactly. Or you can send
He
him
can
to
be a
construction
hands-on
site.
person.
Clearly, him not good to the book.
He's technical. He's technical.
It's
not about the theory.
excuses,
Yeah.
right? So we're like, all right, we're now putting that effort. That
And it's
him
not
just not
necessarily,
textbook. That's it.
it's not necessarily even excuses, that alternatives.
Yeah.
So we actually push the men out to say, you know, go on out now, we're going to look work.
Go figure something else.
While we educate the
We
women.
ensure the women are
There are
educated.
the women now out there, bachelors, masters, and even as we mentioned last week, about some colleges, universities, 60 to 80% are women. So we demand them, we not learn, we not have sense. I want to demand them.
So would we say it's that thing that we've instilled by not pushing the boys that we're seeing in today's society, or are we just saying that these men are just not motivated anymore? What you think?
Intimidated
Or
by
they
the
yeah.
fact of women them doing the things them, or is the influence of the women moving up, saying, listen me, you sir, we don't, well, I see Dre mention it here. How many times have you hear a woman, especially those with high paid jobs?
Well, I want to address that.
I know, I'm going to do it after the break.
I don't want to address that.
No, that's why I'm going to close out with it.
See, I know, but we don't want to address that yet.
Going to the break now, that's why I want to close out with this part, you know, because I'm saying this is where one of the things that we're going to look at when we return after the break. I want to look at this. You know, we are at the position where the women, especially with high paying jobs, use the phrase, I don't need a man.
But don't go too much into that yet.
No, we're not gonna wait. So I'm saying, where the man them for? What the purpose of the man? We're not getting the education. We out there in the world, so I use a little what you call common sense and common knowledge and skills. The women are the educated ones, moving higher up in the business hierarchy, taking over corporations. Where are the men? What are the men doing?
So do we think that concept and that thought process is a part of what we see? Or a part of why we're seeing what we're seeing currently in society?
I think it's possibly not, but I don't have any statistics to prove that.
We're going to go to the break. What
Think
thing of
about
the
it. What kind of thing
statistics?
about it? I'm like what you're saying, I have a stats
Yeah,
about.
should have looked at that portfolio. But consider it, we're going to return after the break. Talk the thing with Kim continues.
And if you're on the live, feel free to drop a comment as well. Do you think that even just that thing, because I'm sure you probably see it around you, that we push the females to learn, but we don't really push the men if they're even struggling, you know?
And the females are constantly moving towards the mindset to say they don't need a man.
And that's another perspective.
Tish and the Ellis, I see you laugh. I want your reply to the man's statement. Yo, well, tag up Dre, said Dre, comment. I want you to reply with an actual statement to say what you think about that.
Yeah.
What happens when these ladies are professing, yeah, they don't need a man.
They don't need a
So
man,
when the
you
man
know?
fat, what we do? We're gonna go to the break, we're gonna return. that the thing with kid continues.